translators are taking these beautiful things that have been written for us and putting them into a limited frequency, diminishing us so that we either look to them for the answers because our heart's so deceitfully wicked and everything that comes out of our mouth just defiles us. Bunk. That's a bunch of bunk. And it doesn't hold any water at all, because the living water teachings tell us different. So I went on a side tangent here because this is one of those things that I discovered this morning, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally connected to the 144,000. Because we have the puma here. We have puma. Mountain lions. Those who climb to the top of the mountains and they roar. They are of one, and they are the first fruits, and they've been given power through the twin heads, the two teachings that raise them up, both mother and father. There's a lot that's actually going on in this first word, as there always is, and hence why I get excited when I get to share these things with you, because there's these little beautiful nuggets that are hidden, and when you start digging into them, it gets super exciting. So the root of the very first word is Pe Vav Mem He. This is right there. That's your root. Pe Vav Mem He. Mm-hmm. And it has the meaning of mouth or also edge. And in Hebrew, the root, so again, like we've talked about before, the Hebrew and the Aramaic are an overlay on top of one another. So they bleed over on purpose. We call it being seamlessly divided. So they overlay one another because there's lots of information that is happening. And then the Aramaic specifically is really addressing the divine feminine on top of the divine masculine, and the two are supposed to be one. So this is why there's the bleed through, and it's supposed to be that way. So in Hebrew, the word is just, the root would be a Pe He. And it's very interesting if it's a Pe He, because what do we have on the inside? We now have a Vav Mem on the inside of the mouth. So that means the Vav is connecting, it's pierced our heart within. We're connecting at our heart level. And we literally have the Mem on the inside. We have the living water teachings of mother and father on the inside of our mouth. I love that. That's so amazing to me. It's like, oh my gosh. And then on the front side of it, we have the Dalet Bet again, and we've talked about that as the Hebrew word for bear, and mother bear as being that gatekeeper. And so these are those that are like the embodiment of mother bear as a gatekeeper. They've gone through the door of their inward self to find the deep well within where the revelation lies, for them to deliver themselves of our beast nature, so that they can build love through the Bet Tav, the 222 process, which makes them mother bear. And so they are given that mouth to speak forth the revelation, because this is an elevated pay. So they are speaking of the sacred languages that have pierced their heart, now that they have the living waters within them, the teachings of mother and father. And they carry that revelation, and they are meant to reveal it so that people as themselves can connect to Father while they are in their fallen flesh, while they're in their lower flesh suit. So quite a bit that's being shared right here. So they come and they bring that revelation. They have to bring it. Their whole job as the 144,000 is to bring the Father's revelation. And the next word with that is the Lamed Aleph. So they are the teachers of the law of one. Because that's really what it is. The law of love and light of one, that we are all unified. And they are going to be instructing that. Oh, this stuff is good. I can't wait. I got this next series here has got a lot of really good stuff in it. So we're going to look now, before I move on, any questions on what I shared? Were you able to connect that? Can you see how the dot connecting between that verse and this one? Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to move on if you're not connecting to it. because that was a big piece that we needed to comprehend of our hearts being instructed and being able to understand what the 144,000 are doing because of what's coming out of their hearts. And this is a perfect example of that in connecting as well to that previous verse. So this word in of itself, go back to my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. The root of this, well, first I'll tell you what they're saying. Its translated meaning is find, happen, able. Find, happened, able. So that would be over here. Do you remember how, like, in foreign languages, they flip things, or rather we flip things around. They all do it correctly. We flip everything around. We're like upside down, backwards. English is completely doesn't follow suit with any of the other languages in the world. So this word here would be our falsehood. This one right here would be found. And you're going to see why this is so profound here in a minute. Profound as found. For finding. So the root of it in Aramaic is Aleph, Shin, Kaf, Het. I'll highlight that. Aleph, Shin, Het, or Kaf, Het. Did you notice that there's a Tav in the middle? Here's the first two letters of the root and the second two letters. And right in the middle is a Tav. That was added. That is not part of the original root. So we have a Tav on the inside and we have a Tav on the suffix. So again, since we're dealing with duality, there's always going to be the dual meaning within the scripture of what the written word is. And so not only does this mean to find, happen, and able, but it also means forget, discard, forgotten, and cause to forget. I'm letting that sink in there for a minute because we've been talking about the veil of forgetting.
Yeah.
To cause to forget. So think about Ephraim and Manasseh. Manasseh's name means to forget. The whole purpose of forgetting is so that we can become doubly fruitful, Ephraim. There is such a huge message in the naming of those two sons. And Ken has spoken a lot about Ephraim and Manasseh, about the doubly fruitful. So this word is meant for those who have forgotten, that went and there was a causation of our forgetting as we came in the lesser narrative. So just like we were looking at the previous verse that it said they were defiled, well, we were defiled because in the fall, the beast ego was attached to us in order to subjugate us while we were here. But that also caused us to forget. And that's why we're able to be subjugated, because we don't remember who we are. But again, why I get excited about the language is something that looks terrible on one side. There's always a resolve when you look at the letters and when you see what's going on. It literally resolves it for you if you have the eyes to see it. It's like, oh, this is how I rectify this situation. So this word in forgetting and having to, or the cause of forgetting, also means to find, to happen, to be able. I don't know about you guys, but that gets me like super excited and hopeful that those of us that are still not fully remembering, we are going to be given what we need so that we can be able and have it happen. So in the Aramaic, it also, the difference going from the Hebrew to the Aramaic is quite significant, because in the Hebrew, there is no aleph. It's just Shin, Kaf, Het. But in Aramaic, again, this is one of those profound things that happened in the presence of Yeshua, of why he was here and why he came. was the fullness of him becoming mother in totality. He had to, in order to make legal access available for father's teaching, he had to meet the measure standard of mother through Torah, through the instructions. He had to fill it up with meaning and fulfill it, which then gave us legal access to the Father's teaching. Does that make sense? So that is correct in Christianity, where it said that he came to fulfill the law. He had to, in order to teach the Father's esoteric side, he had to meet the measure standard of mother. And so essentially, because he did it, he gave legal access for everyone after him to have access, because he became mother bear. He became the gatekeeper. That's what this is, like we were talking about before. This is the gatekeeper. So that you can find what you have forgotten. That's so amazing.
That is.
It's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And then the first two letters mean fire. To find the fire. This is connecting angel morphism. This is connecting us to seraphim. To be able to find the fire so that we can be a burning one. Oh, that gets me excited. It gets me fired up. Pun intended. Oh, gets me fired up. Oh, you're so funny, Carrie. Not really. So when the Aleph was added, here's the other critical piece. This word also means, having the Aleph added to it, means to find, uncover, and be found. To find, to uncover, and to be found. And recently I posted the one video with John Diamond because of his message, his comment getting, taken off because of the YouTube algorithms. And that was one of the points that he was saying, that he was lost, but was found. And that is exactly what this word is saying. To find and uncover so that we can be found, because we forgot and we were discarded. We've been discarded. We've been abused. We've been taken advantage of. And this word is telling us that this what was covered is being uncovered. The things that were once hidden are now being revealed so that we can remember. And we forgot the fire that comes from the covenant that is found within, because that activation as seraphim happens within our heart, within the center of our being, once the covenant is written there. That's what the Tav is in the middle of that word. It's the covenant that is written on our heart. I will put my law, that my fiery law, within their heart, and they shall be my people. And this is one other thing that I wanted to add here, because I believe that this is the activation of the 13th chakra. That when we get the mark on the inside, because remember, there's the mark of the mother on the prefix, and there's the mark of the father on the suffix, but this is the mark on the inside. And we've been talking about that 666 being connected in the body and being connected in the spirit and connected in the soul. This is a Tav on the inside. And the number 13 is connected to the Hebrew word through gematria of ahava, love. So this is the activation of the 13th chakra, which is the critical piece that we need to activate the Merkaba. And it's found within. This is why I was so excited to get to this. We had to lay a bunch of foundation to get to this verse, but this is a critical piece for us to understand that the fiery covenant has now been made manifest on the inside.
Wow.
So that frequency begins radiating through us completely, because we become one with it on the inside. And it's not something that we think about, and it's not something like we think about mothers teaching, oh, I better treat somebody this way. It's you are changed through and through completely. And it's the full activation of the light and the toroidal fields, the 3 toroidal fields of the body, of the soul, and of the spirit, completely activated at this point. That's so beautiful. And it also shows the critical pieces. It has the Father's covenant there as well. And it would have to be, because it's the Father's covenant that gives us the access to what we need to be able to be marked on the inside, completely in totality, through Mother and Father's teachings both. And again, with the Puma in the beginning, that revelation had to come. So they come bringing it. They are going to be revealed as those who have had it, and it will be demonstrated because they become it. They are the fire. They are the seraphim messengers that have that 13th chakra, Ahava, completely activated through and through and through, because they found it. It was uncovered and revealed to them, that which they forgot when they came through the veil.
It's also a 4.
What was that?
That equates to Tav, the 13th chakra, being a 4 in Gematria. It's 400 is Tav. 22.
Yes, exactly. Which then connects us back to the Dalit, Aleph Bet Gim Dalit. Sorry, the Dalit. The door is the critical piece, and we can see that right in the beginning word. Thank you, Jesse. That's awesome that you brought that up, because we have the Dalit Bet in the very beginning. The door is right here. That was the first thing in this verse was, you have to go through the door. You have to go through the door, and they are coming as doors to knock on your heart to say, here's the door to revelation, and I'm going to present it to you as the Puma. Because I found what was once lost and we forgot. And then that moves us into the word for falsehood. And of course, falsehood never is what they write it to be. And because one thing I want to point out to you guys, critical piece here, critical piece, I should have scrolled that down. Critical piece here is the Vav Tav Aleph on the backside. The reason why this is critical is because this connects us to the Kayutha. This suffix is a very powerful suffix. And you if you're not looking in the languages, you're never going to see this, because the translators don't have a way of carrying this through, because they are forced to choose one word to bring forth a concept that is like paragraphs of information. So the suffix being the utha part of it, I had brought up, so the beast, which we've spoken of in great lengths before, there's the kayutha, and the word kai, living, is here, and then it has the suffix, don't do that, it has the suffix of utha. So this cannot be something negative. It just can't. I mean, we've studied it enough that it isn't negative, because this means that you are connected to the Father in meekness, having his mark of his covenant, which is unconditional love, and being unified with him as one, with the Mashiach anointing that, they were instructed, and so they teach. They went through the process of yoking and taming themselves, and they eradicated themselves of the beast ego nature. So critical piece to connect to whenever we see that suffix. So this word falsehood, it cannot be that. It is not possible for it. Now they could choose this because of the root. The root of this, so I can't highlight it down here, it'll pop this little screen off. But down below, we did the Utha, we did the Vav Tav Aleph, and we have Deagle right in front of it. And so the root is a Dalet Gimel Lamed, and it means falsity and lie in Aramaic. A falsity and a lie. But again, we got to dig, because we have the layers here that we got to peel the onion to see what's going on. So we are going to chase this down. I'm going to show you first what Jastrows has said. Troop, division, cohort, standard. Troop, division, cohort, and standard. The standard and the troop of what we were just talking about here, this is completely different than what they're saying it is. Falsity and a lie. You know, it's a standard. And so in Hebrew, it's a standard bearer. So a standard bearer, one that would hold a flag and ensign of declaring who they were, what tribe they were from. You know, you used to see that in battle all the time, where they would walk out with their flags. It's a declaration of who we are. You know, we're not walking out with the banners and the flags because we are the standard bearer. We don't need to have something flapping in the breeze. We become the standard bearer, which I think is really profound. And then it has to do with military, with troop and a division. So, you know, I can already connect this to Joel's army. I mean, that's an easy dot connect right there. Huge. But one of the other things that they were saying, that this is in connection with angels.
Mhm.
This has to do with the connection of angels. And again, angel morphology, about, you know, Yahuwah Zavaot, the Lord of hosts, angels, messengers. And it also means to arrange an assembly. How amazing is that? To arrange an assembly of messengers. And these would be those that have the utha, the suffix, the vav tav aleph. To assemble those, because that's what we're trying to do, is to gather those and assemble them that are of the troops that are doing an unconventional warfare, completely different than what the world is trying to do right now. We are setting people free through love and through a frequency to give them a different way and different perspective of looking at things, to come up and out of the beast system, so we don't have to be held in the lower narrative of war. Not on their standard. Ours is different. We are a standard bearer of the waters from above that aren't of chaos. They are from the Shamayim, as representatives, representing a representation of the heavens, bringing heaven to earth. That is our job. And that's what they're doing. And they are bringing, because they found which was once lost, it's now been uncovered, so that we can be found. We're finding ourselves and assembling ourselves as angels, messengers, priests, teachers, prophetic individuals, prophets. It's exactly the Qumran community all over again. We're just spread out all over. This also has the meaning of cunning, being cunning. And I think this is interesting because the definition of cunning means having or showing skill in achieving one's ends by deceit or evasion. Well, what are we doing? We're evading the beast narrative down below to get us out of the waters of chaos by the suffix, the utha. So cunning isn't a bad thing. We have figured out how to navigate the waters of chaos so that we can be set in the waters above. It's brilliant. Another thing that is in this word that I think is important to point out, because all of these frequencies are contained, even if you're not seeing them in just like definitions of words, because it's just word. Because again, Mother's teaching would just say, this is the word and it means this. Father's esoteric side was, okay, did you see this word in here? Did you see this frequency? Did you see the tav? Did you see all of this other stuff? Because it's all in there. So the other word that we have in here is gal. And this also is a meaning, it's a word that means to be round, but there's something even deeper here that I thought was deeply profound that we need to keep in mind of certain things that even Ken has talked about. It means fountain, spring, basin, bowl, heap in a pile. So we've talked about the being an ash heap, heaping up that which would be burnt up as an ash heap. That's been in a lot of things that Ken's been talking about. But it also is a bowl and a basin to be able to grasp and catch a hold of the living water. And it is a fountain and a spring that's on the inside of us. That is why it's, I think, just such an amazing revelation within this little word, because this is right literally in the middle of the word. You know, we got the dalet in front of it. So this is the door to the fountain within. The
Wow.
springs of living water on the inside. How fantastic. Then we have what they would say like not or without. And again, we have the Lamed Aleph. So the instructions that come of oneness, and the door is in front of it. So those that are coming, that are cunning, that have been marked with the Utha, they are coming as doors to teach and instruct the way of one. And another beautiful aspect of which Father would show would be the Dal right in front. This is literally part of the word Dalet. Dal is the root with a tav on the end. And when you break this down and you look in from the Hebrew depth of this, it's so beautiful. Dal means poor, weak, low, and powerless. Poor, weak, low, and powerless. So they are coming to those who feel completely powerless, the poor and the weak. It also means to deduct. And when you look at this in a further definition, it means to take away, or to deduct would mean to take away or to remove. And it's from a Latin word meaning taken or led away. So the doors come. Oh, this is so beautiful. These that have come as the ones that have gone through this process, as the 144,000 as the Puma, they are coming to those who are poor, weak, that are low right now, that are completely feeling powerless, to come and take that away, to remove that from them, to lead them away from that which makes them think that they are poor and powerless. And they do that because they are the doors of revelation. They are bringing that to remove this, the weakness and powerlessness from people, so they can realize that they are one. They are unified. I and my Father are one. We are all unified. Therefore, none of us are poor and weak. We are strong, because the Aleph literally means the strength of the leader. That's some fantastic news. Then we have Mem, Vav, Mem. And when you look at this without even looking at the word, this is mother that has been connected to Father, because they are one. That's what they're coming to teach. So they're teaching the strength of the leader in the process of becoming one, but they're bringing forth and showing that mother and father are connected as one. So even in looking at the Godhead as source, mother and father, two sides, two faces of the same coin as source, that has been given through teachings for us to understand this concept, that we are one with them, and we have a face of mother and we have a face of father, dependent on the situation that we're involved in, of what's being presented to the people that we are coming in contact with. They're going to see one face or the other, but they're the same coin. And this word, the mem, vav, mem, it means spot, blemish, or mark. Spot, blemish, or mark. So again, these teachers are coming so that people can be marked with mother's teaching and father's teaching in becoming one, as they are both connected, where you're being pierced within and connecting within with these teachings. So again, so they're saying they're without mark or without a spot, but this is a mark we want. This is the mark of living waters that are coming out from us. The fountain that we just talked about over here, the spring, the fountain within. right here. Because mem, that's water. That means water. The waters. Is remember when I've shared the principle before that whenever you see a yod and there's a yod in the middle of the word, it's meant for a vav to come in place. So this is literally the fullness of being connected to the water. Like it fully, there's no yod anymore. It's a done deal. You are of water because you entered in through mother's teaching and you were born again. And now you're sealed in Father's teaching, which if you're sealed in his teachings, you are now in the water above. This is part of the Shamayim, the heavens, seated above. And the last two words, the second to the last word is just translated as for. But as we've shared before in some of the other things that we've looked at, it literally means, it is ger. It's those who are the sojourners and the wanderers that will be receiving a vision within them. You know, we are not of the world. We are in it, but we are not of it. Because we have something different on the inside, a seed vision that has been implanted that needs to be watered in order to grow. And that's why these that are of the puma, the mountain lions, are going to come to be able to be the water, to water that seed that's placed within, as we are all sojourning through the school of divinity. And we need to have that power within us to activate us. And then the last word, simply translated as he, it, and is. He, it, and is. The root of this would be hey vav. And we've seen this several times before, and I always find it fascinating when I see these simple words and it's hey vav, and the only thing that's remaining is the vav. So we have noon. We literally have, again, like we've shared, I think we were talking about it last week. This is the constituent letters, noon, vav, noon, that make up the symbol noon. And so this is all so that as sojourners, we can become one in the activity of life, where we are producing heirship to the throne by taking the spiritual path that is connected to our earth suit, that will be a propagation within us to give us a strong foundation, because that's part of the noon, is to build the base to give you strong legs to stand on as the seed of life is now produced life. That's a whole lot to be said in this few little words here about who the 144,000 are and why they are coming. I mean, this whole thing that we've already been talking about in these first 5 verses is telling us the qualifications and exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they are doing. Now, there are many ways and many other disciplines out there that will produce the measure of the 144,000, because I believe that there are people that are of this group that haven't seen a lick of the language in this incarnation. They know nothing of the language, but yet they've gone through the process of what it has taken within them to change them in whatever spiritual practice they have, or they came in with it already and they're just waiting to be activated. But I can guarantee you these people are set apart from the rest. And when you're around them, you will know that they are different because they have a different frequency. They're already here. They're already among us. And there's some of them that are waiting to be woke up. And I believe that this of what we're presenting is meant for those that are still needing to wake up, that are directly connected to the language itself. Because all these other measures and all these other faiths have been reaching those of those different faiths of the light that they were attracted to based on where they were born. So again, it's all inclusive. And I would not say at all that the 144,000 have to learn this language in this lifetime. I'm saying that there's already something within them that they already know it. They've been exposed to it. They already have this. And their frequency matches it. But they've been placed in the world where they need to be the light where they're at. Some of them are finding their way here. But this is also to say this is what people are going to be instructed in, because I do believe that this is going to be a huge foundational piece as we shift, because this language isn't about religion. It's a mode of life, of unity, in a way that's practical to be taught, to have sustainability in a path of spirituality, uniting everyone together. But it's all about love. And love conquers all.